For the last 73 years since Israel gained its independence, securing peace agreements with its Arab neighbors has been an uphill battle for recognition. Israel's 1979 peace treaty with Egypt came on the heels of the 1973 Yom Kippur War, and its 1994 peace treaty with Jordan followed decades of Jordanian hostility to the very existence of the Jewish state. But despite the steep cost, the high price paid by Israel was well worth it, because a negotiated settlement between two peoples was the only way that peace could be achieved. But if a three-person council in The Hague, Netherlands, gets its way, that path to peace could be history. In early February, the International Criminal Court, or ICC, ruled in a 2-1 majority that it possesses the legal authority to investigate Israel for alleged war crimes committed during Israel's armed conflict with the Hamas terrorist group in the Gaza Strip, as well as related to Israel's communities outside of the Green Line, commonly referred to in the news media as Jewish settlements. Untold by the media, the ICC's decision is far different than a United Nations General Assembly resolution condemning Israel. It could potentially mean the harassment or even arrest of Israeli officials traveling abroad. And that's what makes this decision so unjust. Although the ICC has claimed authority in investigating Israel's conduct, the reality is that things are not quite so simple, for two main reasons. Firstly, the legal framework that binds a country to accepting the ICC's authority is the Rome Statute. The Palestinian Authority is a signatory, but Israel is not. That means Israel does not, in every legal sense of the word, accept the ICC's legal authority. But when a country does not accept the ICC's authority and the court decides to exercise it regardless, that's a direct violation of that country's sovereignty and the very spirit of international law. But critics say the ICC doesn't need Israel's permission because it has recognition from the Palestinians. But that's not quite so simple either. And that's the second flaw with the ICC's argument, that the Palestinians do not represent a sovereign state. That opinion comes from none other than Judge Peter Kovacs, who wrote the dissenting opinion. In his own words, Palestine's statehood was not at all, and is still not, a settled issue within the United Nations, contrary to what the prosecutor argues. It's clear that, for these reasons, the International Criminal Court overstepped its authority significantly with this ruling. Unlike a regular court here in Canada or in any other country, a foreign court cannot simply claim authority over a sovereign state, nor can it claim to do so on behalf of another state which does not, simply put, even exist. This is not a legal decision by the ICC. It is a purely political one. And while the target may be Israel, the lesson will be not lost on the Palestinian Authority. What this ruling means for the Palestinian leadership is that the old rule of negotiation, of meeting halfway to secure a peace agreement, it is dead. Now, peace will not be negotiated by two parties, Israel and the Palestinians, but enforced by a third party on the other side of the world doing the bidding of one state. Canada, joined by Israel, Germany, the United States, and Hungary, voiced its opposition to the ICC decision. Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Marc Garneau, argued that only negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians can produce peace. Instead of making painful concessions for peace like Israel did in 2005, when it tore nearly 10,000 Israelis away from their homes in the Gaza Strip in an attempt to make peace, the message that the ICC has sent to the Palestinian leadership, both the Palestinian Authority and to Hamas, is that you don't need to negotiate with Israel or give up on any of your demands. Rather, just wait for the International Criminal Court to step in and to do your bidding. In effect, what the International Criminal Court did was determine that they could act as judge, jury, and executioner in the Middle East. And that is just about the last thing the Middle East needs.